Welcome back to the channel. If you're just starting out, I highly recommend checking out my previous videos where I cover the PCG Forest basics, working with landscape layers, and how to set it up for your own project. In this third part, we're exploring a feature that has a makeover, and that is the Pathroad. This updated blueprint goes far beyond simply clearing space in your woods. It opens up a world of creative possibilities. Let's jump straight into the new functionality so you can start building. Let's dive in. Alright, I'm going to show you how my Pathroad tool works. First, I'll head over to my content browser and find the PCG Forest folder where I have my blueprints. I'll just grab the BP Pathroad and drop it into the level. As soon as it's been dragged into the viewport, you can see it generates a road segment automatically along a spline. If we go to the details panel, we see that it contains a standard mesh in the mesh slot. Now I want a longer road. I'll hold down the Alt key and drag the endpoint to extrude new segments. I'm zooming out a little to see what we are doing. Now we can grab a point in the middle and move it around to get a better curve. I'm making it a little bit longer so I can create a curvy road. Let's go to the details panel and I can see our mesh. By default, this will appear in your Pathroad, but you can change this mesh with your own mesh. I'm doing this plane for now. You can see that the Pathroad changes to this mesh, but the mesh is too small, smaller than my default road mesh. I can scale this up by going to the transform settings in the details panel. Look for transform and open it. Look then for path scale and scale your mesh in the size that you want. Let's go to the distance increment. Here you can change the position of the distance between the inserted mesh. You can see in the details panel that you can also change the position and rotation. Let's change the position of the Z-axis of the path, and you can do this also with the Y and X-axis. Now you see that under the Path Transform, I have another section, and that is Path Transform Random. If you decrease or increase these settings, you get a more random look in you transforming. When you do this with the position in Z-axis, you place the position of the meshes in a random height. And you can do this also with the rotation as well. Let's change the rotation and give it some randomness. I will set everything back to default. You can also check the absolute rotation. This will make the mesh look at its own position. And there is the scaling. You can use the uniform scale or just scale your mesh. I'm decreasing the scaling and set some randomness. I will set everything back to default again. If you go to the PCG folder and select the geometry folder, I can select the default road mesh again and drag it in the mesh slot. Another thing I can do now is that I still have the open space between the meshes. You can see this much better when you make a sharp curve in your spline. I don't want that. And there is a solution for that. Let's go to the details panel and enable the curved on. And now I have a perfectly curved road, and you can still use the points to grab and move them around in any position. Or make your road longer by making more points. If I zoom in on the road, you can see that the meshes are blending into each other in the curving. And I can do this also with other meshes. So let's insert another mesh into the slot. I'm going for the plane again because that is also flat like a road. I'm scaling this up because it's too small for a road. This is good enough for now. And if I enable the curved section, this will also make a perfect curved line. So this is working on all your static meshes. So if I try another mesh, I can go for the cube this time and drag this into the mesh slot. You can see it's updating in real time and making a perfectly cube shape along the spline, and you can still position the points in any direction. So you can also use it for cables or other spline-shaped figures you can think of. Let's insert a cylinder to give it a cable look. Now we can see that the cylinder shape is not in the correct position on the spline, but I can change that by going to the details panel. Look for forward direction and change the position of the cylinder to make it look like a cable. And then you can also change the scale of the cable by going to the transform section and increase or decrease the scaling. And you can also change the randomness for some weird abstract cable if you like. So you can play with these settings and insert meshes to see what it does. Being creative and make some cool abstract splines or just a perfect road for your environment. And that is not all, I'm just getting started. I have some more settings to explain. So let's remove this spline and drag a fresh new blueprint into our viewport. We're back with our default road spline. Let's make this spline a little bigger by holding the Alt key and drag a new point onto our spline. Let's curve it a little and make another point on the spline. So I have a curvy road already. I've enabled the curved on section to make it a perfect road. Then I go back to the geometry folder and open up the road mesh I'm using. And I'm going to give this mesh a material to work with. I've already downloaded the road material, but you can select your own material as well. Drag the material in, and I have a nice road material. Save the mesh for now, and you can see that the Pathroad also have the material inserted without intersection. I select the road and move it up a bit. I can also move the separate points up and down to make a hill road. Go to the details panel and enable the project to landscape section. This will automatically stick your Pathroad to the landscape. When I move the road in position with the points, it will stay on the landscape. Now I can also make a road loop. I fast forward this part by dragging with the Alt key and making more points to create a nice circle road on the landscape. When I'm almost at the first point of the road, I go to the details panel and enable the close curved loop. Now we have a perfect loop of the road. So that's it for making a closed road and project it to the landscape. Let's remove this for now and start with a fresh new blueprint for explaining the last feature on the Pathroad. I'm dragging the Pathroad in again and making it a bit longer. Go to the details panel and enable the curved on and project to landscape section. Then I have one section left to enable, and that is the sculpt landscape section. When you enable this in the details panel, it will automatically sculpt your landscape on the height of the road. So at this moment, the road is a bit higher than the landscape, and as you can see, it's making an elevation on both sides of the road. When I drag a point up, you can see this much better. It's automatically sculpting the landscape and adjust it to the road. Now I can make my road a bit longer by dragging some more points and adjust the height of the road to the landscape the way I want it. You can easily go up and down into your landscape. And I can change the sculpting distance of the road in the details panel. I can also change the width of the sculpting and the fall off of the elevation. Let's remove the road that I have now and start again with a new clean landscape. For this example, I'm using my landscape generator. You can find more information on this in the description below. Create a random hilly surrounding and place the Pathroad on the landscape. I'm rotating it the other way. Enable our curved-on section to get a smooth path road, and make the spline longer by dragging the points out. I'm creating really fast looping road again on this landscape. When I have my road in a loop, I also enable the Project to Landscape and Sculpt Landscape sections. And make sure that the road is sticking perfectly to the landscape by checking the points of my spline. And in this spot, it curved without noticing a canyon-looking road. That's looking very cool. I can make the canyon a bit wider by using the width deform and fall off. This looks already nice, but I'm only using our road material, so I have to do something about the landscape material as well. For the landscape, I'm using the MW landscape material from Maui United. You can get this for free on Fab. I'm going for the desert material. Let's drag that in my landscape material, and right away I have a desert-looking landscape with our road going through it. I'm going to check the rest of the road to see how it looks. Looks pretty good to me. And maybe find a spot to bring our PCG Forest in as well. This looks like a good spot to me. I'm going to the PCG Forest folder and drag the PCG Forest into the viewport. And in the Details panel, I can select the grass data asset. And I have grass on the landscape again. Let's select some more data assets. And just like that, I have the PCG Forest in my environment and ready to use. You can make it bigger by selecting the points and move them around. I'm taking a look at the other side and move that point as well to make it a little bigger. Create a point here and drag that out as well. You notice that I made my spline bigger, but my forest is not getting bigger. That's because the spawning box isn't big enough. In the Details panel, I can change that by going to the Spawn Volume box and decrease its size. I'm making it 4000, and you can see that it's working now. Let's take a look at my road going through the forest. I can change the width of the space between the road and the forest by using the path mask. This can be used if you want the vegetation to be starting right next to the road, or have some clean space between the road and where the vegetation will start. My road is not that wide, so I can still change that in my Pathroad blueprint by going to the Details panel and change the scaling of my road. So now it is wider, but you can see that I also have to change the path mask of my forest so the vegetation is not going through my road mesh. And here I have a nice road going through the forest, and I made this in a couple of minutes. And you can grab the forest and move it around and place it where you want on the landscape we created. So I move this up and let's see how this is working on the canyon spot. I've placed the forest near my canyon path road and drag it over the canyon. It will adjust on the landscape by calculating the steepness and height of the road and the landscape automatically. So now the canyon has some vegetation and this is looking good already. Now if you have trees or other plants that you don't want in places, you can change your settings in the Details panel of your PCG Forest. By changing the slope angle on the trees, it will remove most of the trees on the steepness of the rocks. And if you still have trees or vegetation that you don't want near your road or on your landscape, you can use the BP mesh and place this on the spot you want to clear out. So that's pretty much what you can do with the Pathroad and the PCG Forest. Use it for your own roads or just make simple cables or structures with it. The Pathroad is just a simple extra tool for using it with your forest. You can grab the PCG tool on Fab, check for the links below. Please drop your thoughts or questions in the comments or visit my Discord server for technical questions or problems. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep shaping those worlds.